This is a full guide on how you can have the most effective studying session when it comes to getting the grades that you want, coming from a person who always had A plus grades. This video is three parts: the mindset, the process, and the revision. The first one, which is the mindset. What kind of mindset that you need to have in the term of just studying, the mindset that A plus students have, so they can always have A plus in their degrees. And the second part is the process, what you do during the studying session, and finally what to do so you can maintain both of these. So firstly, the mindset. The mindset is basically, as I've said, the mindset that A plus students have, so they can be A plus student, which is firstly study above everything. And I mean everything, because A plus students, as soon as they wake up, they know that their brain has some energy, and they know that their brain has a energy bar, and that energy bar decreases as time goes by. Even if you're doing absolutely nothing, as long as you are awake and conscious, that bar is decreasing as time goes by. So as soon as they wake up, I do this myself. As soon as I wake up, I get out of bed, I put on my glasses, and I start studying as soon as possible. That is something that's essential. This is something all of us do. Every A plus student does. As soon as they wake up, they study. And after they finish like an hour or two of studying, then they have their day-to-day life routine, which is going to the bathroom and having breakfast and all of that. And the second mindset tip that all A plus students do is that they identify their distractions. Something you should learn from your older brother is that if you are struggling in anything in life, whatever it is, grab a piece of paper and write it down, because 50% of it is done as soon as you write it down, because now you have identified the issue or the ache that you have. So you identify your distractions by writing them down, as I've said. So let's say you have wrote down your phone, social media, the gym, whatever distracts you, just keep in mind that there is a solution for it. Ask yourself right at the top of the page, what can I do so I can stop those distractions? And one of the best ways so you can stop any distractions is to put more fraction into those distractions, is to make it harder for you to procrastinate and to do those distractions. There is a whole video called How to Never Procrastinate Again. I recommend you to watch it, which is probably one of the best videos that I've done. Once you have finished and identified and found a solution for those distractions, that's when the studying session that you have is the best of all. And the final mindset tip that A plus students use is something called organization. Something you've barely heard of, something that almost every student that is below A plus does, which is that they open their books just so they can just read and do whatever they have. The final tips you can be a A plus student is something that barely every student does, and it's something called organization, which is the most important out of the mindset of the student. The best mindset every A plus student that would have is organization. Everyone who says that, yeah, I do organize my studies, I do organize my to-do list, I do know how to organize. No, they don't. They actually fail to organize their to-do list when it comes to studies, the things that they have to study throughout the day. And the best way so you can actually organize your studies is to start by the hardest task, which is a tactic called eating the frog. The hardest task, the hardest subject, the hardest lesson, all the way till the easiest. So you start with the absolute hardest till the absolute easiest. Why is because when I told you about the brain power that you have in organizing is that you start with 100%, which is the most effective. So you start with the most effective brain power and the hardest subject that you have. Both of them combined, you will finish it. It will be very easy to memorize, to learn, and to understand as soon as you are at 100% energy rate in your brain. Now I've mentioned the mindset. Now the system, the process, what you do during that studying session itself. And it's not many, it's just one thing called flow state. Flow state basically means that you have absolutely nothing in mind but the task that you are currently doing. So, in other words, let's say I'm reading this paper. This paper has, for example, timetable or whatever really, but just keep in mind while I'm reading this paper, I'm fully focused on it. I don't have distractions in my head. I don't have phone that could buzz. I don't have anything that could get my mind off that paper, which is called the flow state. The flow state where you are not getting distracted, you are not getting bothered, there is no buzzing, you are just in a flow state. Keep in mind that the flow state is keep in mind that the flow state is a time limit. 10 minutes, 15 minutes, and then you start to have thoughts in your head. Once you experience thoughts in your head, shift back your focus to the studying. You're studying, and suddenly, all of a sudden, you start thinking of the exams or the dress that you want to buy in the weekend or the trip that you're gonna have with your friends. Just put in your mind, you are in a flow state. I'm gonna put my shift back to the studying session. But the most important thing is to actually shift back your focus to the studying session itself so you can stay on the flow state. Keep in mind that you will be distracted, you will have your brain thinking of something else, although it might happen a lot, but once it happens a lot, you have permission to have a break. For 5 to 10 minutes, just close your eyes, rest, just rest absolutely. Sleep in your bed for just 10 minutes. Time it in your phone if you're scared to that you accidentally fall asleep. Just 10 minutes. After you wake up, you get back to your flow state. You study, and I promise you, you will finish. You will finish whatever that you have in mind. And just know, once you have the realization that you're thinking of something else and you shift back your brain, you are training the willpower muscle in your brain to continue focusing, which is going to extend the flow state that you have. Let's say the flow state you had was 5 minutes, then you start getting distracted, but you shift back your focus to the studying for another 5 minutes, and then you kept on going for an hour, for example. Next time you go on a flow state, it will not be 5 minutes, then you'll be distracted. It will be 10 minutes, then you will be distracted. It will be another 10 minutes, and then you'll be distracted. But the more you train your brain, the longer it will stay in a flow state. And have this like a side note, to have the most productive, the most amazing, the most fun studying session is to actually study with someone and not over the phone, but in real life. And if you want your studying session to be more amazing, keep in mind you shouldn't just resist those thoughts when you are studying, but also in day-to-day life, also when you are sitting with your parents. Instead of just drowning in your thoughts, focus on whatever your parents is saying or the TV is saying, as long as you are in a conscious, mindful mind, you are in a right path to have a longer flow state. But what if my flow state isn't that long? What if my flow state is just 30 minutes and then my brain just feels off and I don't feel like studying and things are just getting terrible and terrible as time goes by? That's when I'm gonna tell you that you have permission to take a break. As I've said, 10 minutes you lay down, you close your eyes, you close the curtains, you do a timer for 10 minutes. After 10 minutes, you get up and you get back to work. Research has found that the students that shift back their focus and they don't overthink whatever they've been thinking of improved significantly just doing it once, just shifting your focus back to the study, have significantly improved the brain wiring from handling distractions. And once your brain is exhausted and you have your break, this is called one session of studying. That's when you have mostly effectively studied and you are fully ready for anything, for any test that you have on whatever you have studied. And I want you to view studying as not an something that I'm gonna do it per hour. No, you should see it as something I'm gonna do per session till my brain reaches exhaust. That is my studying session. In average, you should have around 3 to 4 studying sessions throughout the day. And once you've finished that studying session, that's when you are free to do whatever you please. That's when you can watch a show or you can play with your pet or whatever really. But just keep in mind that you have other sessions to have. And this is a tip I'm gonna give you. It's better off for you to have your sessions in the morning and not afternoon or in the evening because that's when you are because that's mostly the brain power is up. Like if you have them stacked on upon of each other, that's when you mostly effectively study because you don't have like 20 or 30% of brain power and then you start studying again. So have just an hour of studying, just have one session of studying, one session is flow state, an hour of just focusing till my brain reaches exhaust, which is basically after an hour. Or if you are a really, really good minded student, the longer your flow state, the less sessions that you're gonna have. So if your flow state is 2 hours, then you're going to need around only 2 sessions when it comes to studying. But if you are just a beginner and you're trying to improve, it is fine to have a lot of sessions. Just keep in mind, while studying, study till I reach exhaust, break for 10 minutes till my brain reaches exhaust again till an hour or 2 hour is done. And after that I'm gonna stop for 2 to 3 hours. If you woke up at like 6 a.m. and you start studying, you have absolute credit to you can have 2 3 hours of break, you can do whatever, but most important is that you get back to the studying session that you had. And here when I mention workflow and it's the system for studying, the last part so you can be a plus student is the outro of the studying session, the conclusion of studying, something that every A plus student do so they can stay and so they can enhance their grades. And is that firstly they make sure that throughout the day they are eating food that are going to reduce the brain fogs. So I know you heard brain fogs, you have a huge question mark. Now let me explain to you what is a brain fog, which is the distraction that you have in your brain. Brain fog is basically when your mind was full on focus mode, then suddenly you just started to thinking of something else. This is called a brain fog. Now, foods that could occur more brain fogs in your head is only carbs. Only carbs. I'm telling you this, but as carbs as the first meal in the morning. If you start with carbs, just know throughout the day your brain is not gonna be the best. So started with protein, started with the calcium, start by yogurt or eggs, something that does not have carbs. And the final way for the conclusion is that they write down the next session's to-do list. Although they finish the whole day's to-do list, they write down the things that they have to do in the first session, then the second session, then the third session. They just write the things that they have to do, the subjects that they have to finish, the exams or the tests or the quizzes that they have to finish for the next day. Because now, once you wake up, you find it easier to actually study, which leads me to my bonus point and it actually making it seem easier. Look, some people in their mind when you tell them study, yeah, they're probably gonna put in their mind, yeah, I have to pull up a video or I have to look for PDF files or I have to just keep thinking of downloading just some random things so it can help me study. But if you put it in your conclusion before you go to bed, you just download the file. You download the files, the PDF that you need. You write down the subject, the lessons that you have to finish, and the quizzes that you have. You are A plus student. It is simple because now it's more easier for you to study. And as always, focus on only yourself because the only one who will save you is you.